Imagine waking up one morning as an ordinary American. By sunset, you're worth more than $16 million. Most people dream about that moment. A giant check, television cameras, friends celebrating, a future where money is never a problem again. But what if that same jackpot became the reason people wanted you dead? This isn't a movie. It isn't fiction. It's the true story of William Bud Post III, a Pennsylvania man whose life changed forever after winning a massive lottery jackpot in 1988. And instead of living happily ever after, he became one of the most famous examples of what many now call the lottery curse. Before becoming a millionaire, Bud Post lived a simple life. He wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't a Wall Street investor. He wasn't born into wealth. Like millions of Americans, he worked hard and dreamed about financial freedom. Money had always been a challenge. Bills piled up. Opportunities came and went. But one lottery ticket promised something every struggling person secretly hopes for: a second chance. The odds of winning a lottery jackpot are almost impossible. People spend years buying tickets without ever winning more than a few dollars. Yet somehow, Bud beat those impossible odds. His ticket was worth approximately $16.2 million. In today's money, that's worth far more. Within hours, his name was everywhere. News stations covered the incredible story. Reporters wanted interviews. Neighbors suddenly remembered who he was. Complete strangers congratulated him. For many people, winning the lottery looks like crossing the finish line. No more financial stress. No more worrying about rent. No more sleepless nights over unpaid bills. Just freedom. At least, that's what everyone believes. But psychologists have spent years studying sudden wealth. And they discovered something surprising. Human behavior changes when large amounts of money appear overnight. Not just the winner's behavior. Everyone else's too. Family members begin thinking differently. Old friends suddenly become very close again. People who disappeared years ago somehow find your phone number. Money doesn't simply change your bank account. It changes relationships. And Bud Post was about to learn that lesson in the hardest possible way. First, everything seemed exciting. He started making plans. He imagined a better future. A comfortable home. Less stress. More security. After struggling financially for years, he finally believed life was giving something back. But the celebration didn't last long. Because winning the jackpot was only the beginning. Very quickly, people started asking for money. Some believed they deserved a share. Others claimed Bud owed them. The requests never seemed to stop. Then came something even worse: legal battles. One of the first major problems came from someone close to him. A former girlfriend claimed she had been promised part of the winnings. Instead of celebrating his new life, Bud found himself fighting in court. Money that was supposed to buy freedom was already creating conflict. And this was only the beginning. The pressure kept growing. Every decision became public. Every purchase attracted attention. Everyone seemed interested in how he spent his fortune. Many lottery winners described the same feeling. They stopped trusting people, because it's impossible to know who truly cares about them and who only cares about the money. That kind of pressure slowly changes a person. Stress replaces excitement. Fear replaces happiness. Privacy disappears. For Bud, the nightmare was just getting started. Because while lawsuits and financial pressure were already overwhelming, a far darker threat was quietly developing inside his own family. Someone who shared his blood was about to make a decision that shocked the entire country. And it would prove that sometimes, the biggest danger isn't losing your money. It's the people willing to do anything to take it. By the time most people heard Bud Post's name, they assumed he was living the American dream. Millions of dollars. National attention. A future without financial worries. But behind the headlines, his life was slowly falling apart. Winning the lottery hadn't removed his problems. It had multiplied them. Every day brought another request. Another phone call. Another person asking for help. Some wanted loans. Others wanted gifts. Some believed that because Bud had won millions, he somehow owed them a better life too. This is one of the darkest psychological effects of sudden wealth. People stop seeing the person. They only see the money. To them, The winner becomes an opportunity, and opportunities are meant to be used. Bud tried to help. Like many lottery winners, he believed generosity would make people happy, and said it created expectations. Once people receive financial help, some begin expecting even more, and saying no becomes almost impossible. Relationships that once felt genuine became filled with tension. Trust slowly disappeared. Then, the unimaginable happened. Authorities uncovered a horrifying plot. According to court records, Bud's own brother had hired a hitman. The motive was chilling: money. Investigators revealed that the plan was to murder Bud and his wife, in hopes of gaining access to the lottery fortune. Imagine discovering that someone you've known your entire life, someone who grew up beside you, someone who shares your family name, wanted you dead because of money. No lottery commercial ever shows that ending. The public was shocked. People couldn't believe a jackpot could lead to something so horrifying. But this wasn't simply a crime story. It exposed something much deeper. Greed can completely change the way people think. When enormous amounts of money appear, some people stop seeing consequences. They only see the reward. History is filled with stories of inheritance battles, family businesses destroyed by greed, brothers fighting brothers, parents suing children. Money itself isn't evil, but it can magnify what already exists inside people. For Bud, the emotional damage was devastating. How do you trust anyone after that? How do you enjoy wealth when it has become a target on your back? The fear never truly disappears. Every new relationship becomes a question. Do they like me? Or my money? Psychologists call this one of the hidden costs of sudden wealth. Financial security can increase, while emotional security completely disappears. The irony is heartbreaking. Bud had spent years believing money would solve his problems, and said it introduced problems he had never imagined. And the financial mistakes didn't stop there. Like many lottery winners, Bud made risky decisions with his wealth. He invested in businesses that failed. He purchased assets that quickly became expensive to maintain. Money flowed out faster than it came in. The problem wasn't the size of the jackpot. It was the lack of a long-term financial plan. Most people never learn how to manage millions of dollars because they never expect to have them. Without experienced financial advisors, without careful budgeting, even an enormous fortune can disappear. The truth is simple. Making money and keeping money require completely different skills. Bud was learning that lesson in real time. And unfortunately, the hardest chapter of his story was still ahead. By the early 1990s, the dream that had begun with a winning lottery ticket was almost unrecognizable. The millions that once promised freedom were disappearing. Failed investments, legal expenses, debt, poor financial decisions, and constant pressure from the people around him had taken their toll. One by one, the assets were sold. Properties that once symbolized success were gone. The fortune that millions of Americans dreamed about was slipping away. Years earlier, people had envied Bud Post. Now, his story had become a warning. Eventually, reports revealed that much of his lottery fortune had vanished. In later years, he lived on a modest income. For many viewers, this is the moment they ask, how is that even possible? How can someone receive more than $16 million and still struggle financially? The answer is surprisingly simple. Money doesn't automatically create wealth. Wealth is built through habits, discipline, planning, patience, and good decisions repeated over many years. A lottery ticket can make someone rich overnight, but it cannot teach financial wisdom. That's why many financial experts say sudden wealth can actually be dangerous, because people receive millions before they learn how to manage thousands. Without experienced financial advisors, without careful budgeting, even an enormous fortune can disappear. The truth is simple. Making money and keeping money require completely different skills. Bud was learning that lesson in real time. And unfortunately, the hardest chapter of his story was still ahead. By the early 1990s, the dream that had begun with a winning lottery ticket was almost unrecognizable. The millions that once promised freedom were disappearing. Failed investments, legal expenses, debt, poor financial decisions, and constant pressure from the people around him had taken their toll. One by one, the assets were sold. Properties that once symbolized success were gone. The fortune that millions of Americans dreamed about was slipping away. Eventually, reports revealed that much of his lottery fortune had vanished. In later years, he lived on a modest income. For many viewers, this is the moment they ask, how is that even possible? How can someone receive more than $16 million and still struggle financially? The answer is surprisingly simple. Money doesn't automatically create wealth. Wealth is built through habits, discipline, planning, patience, and good decisions repeated over many years. A lottery ticket can make someone rich overnight, but it cannot teach financial wisdom. That's why many financial experts say sudden wealth can actually be dangerous, because people receive millions before they learn how to manage thousands.